Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here. And today we're talking about two crazy Valve leaks. We gotta talk about the rough leaked price for the Steam machine because it's more expensive than I hoped, but it's still cheap enough, so I'm gonna get into that. But let's talk about the main focus of this video. Pretty much every major data miner, leaker, anybody that does stuff at like Valve News Network and stuff, apparently Half-Life 3 may actually be getting revealed today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe before the end of the week. And I want to talk about this because I gotta be honest, I'm almost kind of afraid to even film this video because this may be outdated by the time it gets posted. I mean, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe for daily gaming news stories. And whenever that trailer comes out, I'm going to react to it instantly. But let's start by taking a look at the evidence, the rumors, and the leaks so far about Half-Life 3 and the Steam machine price tag. You know, for better or for worse. Hi, hope you're having a great day. Like the video. Let's get into it. I'm DreamcastGuy, and we are cooking. I gotta be honest, I am extremely excited about the Steam machine. I feel like the hype around this it's so unique. I mean, it's not just the customizableness of the system or the fact that the specs are pretty dang good. It just feels like a lot of people are kind of curious about what Steam would do now. Like, I keep thinking about these old screenshots, maybe fake screenshots we used to get for Half-Life 3. Half-Life 2 came out 21 years ago, and now I kind of feel like people sort of forget the importance of Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2. Early Counter-Strike, this was some of the first massive story-driven single-player shooters. These were not just graphical pushers at the time. Like, it is hard to understate how revolutionary Half-Life was. And it was really wild because when we got Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, both those were such crazy big advancements with like shatterable windows and all sorts of cool, interesting geoforce geometry tech and stuff. But a lot of people said, okay, what's coming next? Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 were such advancements. Everybody always thought we'd get a Half-Life 3 with, you know, photorealistic graphics and even crazier cool physics, but it just never, ever materialized. But a lot of people have suddenly been hinting that something is about to happen. Check out the Game Wars nominee page. So randomly, Valve is now working with the Game Wars. This is officially known. They're part of like the organizers of it, which has never happened before. Now, look at this. Jeff Keighley has one game wish list. We can't see what it is because his wish lists are private, but you can see it right there. A lot of people have been pointing out that something is about to happen with Half-Life 3. Some people, some leakers are saying probably not today, but the project is apparently called Half-Life X, HLX. Lots of people have been talking about the fact that essentially this is their big swing for the fences moment to make it where not only will the Steam machine come out and probably be super, super awesome and have tons of hype, they essentially want to say, here's a launch title. Here's a launch title that you have to get a Steam machine for or buy it on Steam on your PC. This to me seems like a genius move. Now, a lot of people have been pointing out stuff like this. Valve has this, you can go to the publisher page, the developer page on Steam, and it says upcoming games we're working on. There's Deadlock, and the other one is Invisible. This is definitely, people have data mined it. This is whatever HLX is. There is some funny stuff people have been talking about as well, which is that recently they allowed a bunch of different of the biggest YouTubers and some of the biggest tech journalists to fly to Valve headquarters to play the Steam machine. And while they were demoing it, there were actual armed security guards making sure that people didn't wander off. Now, I have done a lot of studio tours. I've had a chance to go to a decent amount of game studios. And typically what happens is there's like 99% of the time, there's an elevator in like a kiosk, and you have to sign a bunch of NDAs saying anything I see on this floor, I won't take any pictures of it, I won't report it. I've signed a lot of those NDAs to basically walk through crazy top secret dev floors and stuff, right? But what I have never seen, and what a lot of people are talking about, you don't typically see security. This is just not a common thing. This is extremely rare, if not maybe the first time this has ever happened. But a lot of people are making jokes being like, getting my brains blown out by a security guard because I tried to go to the bathroom and stumbled into the Half-Life 3 room. A lot of people are like, bro, they're working on Half-Life 4 now. No way, the Combine was at Valve headquarters. To me, some people are speculating it could be something like a new Left 4 Dead, a new Team Fortress, Portal 3. I'm in the spot where I still am fully on the board of Project HLX being Half-Life 3. I mean, there's already Half-Life Alyx. We know the fact that HLX is not an update to Half-Life Alyx. It's like in a different part of the directory. But even still, a lot of people, even if they're saying it's not quite time for it, it is a game changer. So look, here's one of the tweets that was going super viral, right? Announced the new Steam Machine controller in Steam Fram. Announced Half-Life 3 a week later, which honestly would be so freaking cool. Launch Half-Life 3 day and date with the Steam Machine. It's deck and machine verified. Make all the money in the world. Hold tribunal for Phil Spencer. Okay, I'll be honest, I did not expect it to go that direction. I should have read this tweet before I put it in a video. Anyways, so I think, honestly, this is such a pro strategy. And Valve is so smart. Valve is undeniably the masters of not just publishing, but straight up making sure their platform is the most infinitely accessible. But speaking of access, whatever Half-Life 3 becomes, I think it's going to be awesome. Even if it ends up not living up to the hype fully, I don't know. I'm so happy about the idea of Half-Life 3 even existing, even if it ends up being like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours long and basically like a glorified tech demo. I just want to see G-Man again. I want to see Gordon Freeman again. So freaking bad. But I do think a lot of people are sort of talking about how much I am definitely in the camp that I think there's going to be a huge shakeup in how much the Steam Machine is really going to maybe fracture the console gaming industry specifically. No online fee to play, biggest library of games, better performance than current gen consoles. Some people have essentially said that this is roughly the power of a PS5. Roughly. It's got a little bit less RAM or gigs of RAM, I believe. It's a little bit less powerful than a PS5, but probably better optimized. So in some ways, it'll have better graphics, even if maybe it doesn't have as much ray tracing or something like that. But still, emulates PlayStation games, plays PlayStation 5 games that have been released on Steam, like Spider-Man, emulates Xbox games, plays Xbox Series X games on Steam, supports VR for cheaper games, install tills via Steam, cheap game keys. I'm freaking sold. A lot of people are basically talking about the fact that in a lot of ways, this does feel like the future of gaming. A lot of people have definitely given those flowers of, yeah, they built incredible spaces for actual geniuses to cook and manufacture right next door, focusing on the long game. Unbothered by quarterly performances, they lifted many fingers. You just didn't see it because they're under no obligation to show anybody. Basically about the genius of Gabe Newell. I mean, he really did play the longest game. He beat $20 billion investment for VR companies. He just sat back there and let them all freaking mess up. Now, a lot of people have been speculating how much the Steam Machine is going to cost. I've seen some videos from Moore's Law is Dead. I've seen a lot of people talk about it. If Valve releases the Steam Machine for $400, including the controller, it will be an absolute massive market disruptor. However, I'm concerned that people will get their expectations set to $400 and then be upset if it's $500 to $700. I feel like, for me, $500 is the ceiling in my mind for like a cheap console, just for the specs of this. If this thing cost $400, I would be, this would become Steam Deck guy. I'd be so freaking over the moon happy, right? But a lot of people are talking about the fact that Steam themselves has said this will not be subsidized. The way that game consoles are so cheap, the way my 3DS is so dang cheap so I can boot up and play all my Resident Evil and puzzle games and stuff, this was cheap because Nintendo sells it at a loss. They want you to buy software. They get all their money on the software sales predominantly, right? They got to get everybody to get a 3DS or a Nintendo Switch or whatever, right? That way you buy into the storefront. They have said they're not going to subsidize it because this is technically a powerful micro PC. Valve has essentially said, look, they sell you a system at a loss because you have to use it for gaming. Even if somebody buys it in bulk, it has to be used for gaming. People could technically buy these in bulk to mine crypto, or a company could buy thousands of them and use them as like portable PCs for some of their travel team and stuff. And technically, it is possible there'd be whole swaths of people that never bought a single Steam game. They only used it for emulators or VR hacks and stuff, right? I think they're trying to cover their bases. To me personally, I hope they do find a way to make it $400. My dream is $300. If it has a $300 price tag, I'd be ecstatic. But for me, $400, around there, that to me seems like it would absolutely just nuclear bomb the market. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about the Half-Life 3 leaks? How do you feel about, honestly, the Steam Machine? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. I've had terrible food poisoning for the last 24 hours, so I'm just pretty much sitting here like this, playing my my modded 3DS. I'm so hooked on my 3DS again. And then basically refreshing and waiting for that Half-Life 3 trailer.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.